today's installment of the Letterboard of Truth, our quote of the day is, "Mom, can you pick me up? I'm scared." Yes, I know the Millennial versus Gen Z discourse is just about as old as your boomer uncle claiming that you're too young to be tired if you even dare to yawn in his presence. Back in my day, men were men and women were women. My dad hit me and kicked me out the house at 7 years old, and I turned out just fine. No, you didn't. You still think you could buy a house with a crisp $1 bill, a milkshake, and a dream. But I've been dying to chime in on this intergenerational culture war, as I've come to call it, that's been circulating over the past few years as someone who was born in 1998. Technically, I'm a Zoomer, but my hard launch was so close to the cutoff between Gen Y and Gen Z that I share traits and understand references from both generations. Side note, I hate the word Zoomer, but I'll have to use it from time to time as my video progresses, so I'll try not to release a full body cringe every time I say it. Anyways, because I'm on the cusp, I felt like Switzerland this entire time. Like, can we all just hold hands and sing Mr. Brightside? As this contentious topic has only grown online, so has my secondhand embarrassment. I know it's common for each generation to think they're the best generation because we're all biased, and a lot of that probably has to do with nostalgia. However, the Millennial versus Gen Z debate is particularly silly to me because it's become no better than schoolyard bickering. Honestly, it's getting old. Just like Gen Z is apparently, so let's talk about it. After we hear a word from today's sponsor. Hi sinners, I need you to do something for me. Google your legal name or email address right now. You might be surprised at how much of your private information is exposed. And I mean your home address, phone number, health records, everything. When I typed in my personal business email, I have 2 business emails, don't ask. I found so much of my sensitive data for sale on a data broker website. If anyone's gonna exploit my information, it's gonna be me. But that's what data brokers do. They sell your info to scammers, spammers, and anyone else who wants to learn more about you. That's why I recommend you check out today's sponsor, Aura. With Aura, you can see which data brokers are selling your information and they'll automatically submit opt-out requests for you. Not only has this cut down the amount of spam I receive, but I'm also protected from hackers who'd otherwise use this data to infiltrate my social media accounts. And considering the fact that this is my full-time job, that wouldn't be ideal. Other features available through Aura include an antivirus, VPN, password management, parental controls, identity theft insurance, and more, all in one app at one affordable price. You may already have 1 or 2 of these tools already, but not having Aura is like locking your car door and leaving the windows down. Aura is always on, doing the hard work of keeping me safe so I could focus on other things with peace of mind. And Aura can do that for you too. If you value your privacy just as much as I do, head over to aura.com/Annamarie Forcino to start your 2-week free trial, which will also be linked in the description. Again, that's aura.com/Annamarie Forcino. So thank you, Aura, for always looking out for me and my sinners' private data. Now, why don't we get back to your scheduled programming? From my observation, the catalyst for the Millennials and Gen Z dispute was the cheugy phenomenon of 2021. The term has been around since 2013, but it took off on TikTok almost a decade later, and initially cheugy was used to describe trends that are out of style or uncool now, especially trends from your middle school and high school years. I'll use myself as an example. I graduated high school 8 years ago. Needed to let that sink in for a sec. And in my senior year, this jacket was all the rage. If you paired that with some black skinny jeans and Adidas Superstars, you were a sign of the times, baby. Believe it or not, this was peak fashion in 2016, but in 2024, this outfit is cheugy. So creators started sharing what they deemed cheugy.
My biggest flex is that I've never owned these pants. I've never owned camouflage. I think camouflage is so cheugy. Unless you're in the military, then love you, but camouflage is so ugly.
Ugg boots, so cheugy, literally so cheugy. I used to have these, the Bailey bows, the whole thing. Like, it was the thing, specifically the bedazzled ones. cheugy.
This was trending like 5 years ago. I think it's just cheugy. The second one is a Gucci belt, especially if you wear it with every outfit. I think it's so cheugy. People are gonna disagree with me on this one, but I think like wearing an Apple Watch with a cute outfit completely ruins the outfit.
Hey, you stop that right now. Who died and made you sergeant of the fashion police? Ma'am. It's okay, baby. You're not cheugy. Me feeding into consumerism. However, cheugy soon became synonymous with millennial, or as one creator put it, millennial girl boss energy. Think the live, laugh, love, boss babe, don't talk to me before I've had my coffee type of vibe. If you need a visual reference, just imagine the basic white girl archetype of the early 2010s. Anyone of any gender can be cheugy, but you might notice that a lot of the trends that are/were considered cheugy are associated with millennial women. Some men's fashion trends of the early 2000s and 2010s were brought up as well, but most of the teasing has been directed at women. This is totally not the point of today's video. However, I can't help but notice that this was yet another example of how women can't enjoy things without being made fun of. I'm not saying that was the intention of the cheugy trend, but it's interesting that this was where it led to. It could be because women typically keep up with what's in vogue, or I could also be reading way too much into it. Let me know what you think though. Anyway, this was also the time when the famous to side part or not to side part discourse emerged. And ultimately, side parts were labeled cheugy. Keep up, grandma. All the cool kids are obviously rocking middle parts now. Until the side part makes a comeback in 10 to 20 years, because that's just how style works. You know, some of our middle parts are more zigzaggy than others, but that's okay. Skinny jeans were also considered cheugy for a while, but they're kind of popular again, specifically low-rise skinny jeans. And I think I speak for most of us when I say that I'm not thrilled about it. But that was where millennials drew the line. You could have come for their flower crowns and Ray Dunn collections all the livelong day, but you'd have to pry their side parts and true religion jeans from their cold, dead hands. Don't get me wrong, some millennials wore the cheugy label with pride, while others weren't coping so well.
Gen Z, you can suck it. You can't tell me what to wear. 'Cause I've been rocking this side part since you had Kermit on your underwear. So cute. And you can pry these skinny jeans from my cold dead ass, you hear? So Gen Z, you can suck it. You can't tell me what to wear. Oh, you guys look grumpy. You should take a nap.
Oh my God. Or as millennials put it, my gird. But hey, this woman walked so that Jake Novak could run.
And I'm proud to be a millennial with my side part and skinny jeans. And I won't be told what to wear or how to use emojis. Would you kindly shut the up? Ain't nobody asked you for your opinion anyway. Here's a message from millennials to Gen Z. Stay in your motherfucking lane.
Amen, soldier. Rest in peace, George Washington. You would have loved this shit. Watching these clips 3 years later still sends me into fight or flight mode. Like, I'm all for creative expression, of course, but it is rather odd to write show tunes about teenagers with anime profile pics who don't think your hair is cool. These were just a couple of several diss tracks aimed at Gen Z that were released around this time. One more example I'll show you is this next person who famously clapped back at Zoomers that were allegedly canceling Eminem? Not Eminem's, that's Tucker Carlson's gig, but Eminem the rapper. Even though the only people I saw talk about Eminem's cancellation were millennials.
What? Gen Z's trying to what? Cancel Eminem. Gen Z's trying to cancel Eminem? Honey, that's cute. Listen, little kitties, let me make this quite clear. This man was around even before you were here. So what, you're all mad because the man was a lyricist while all your rappers are mumbling gibberish? No, go ahead and shut your mouth. Better yet, go and sit your ass in time out because boy was running laps even before you could walk. Hell, boy was spitting bars even before you could talk. So no, afraid you're null and void, dear. I'm afraid your opinion don't matter here because one day you'll grow up and see how everyone went and forgot about Z.
Do you think her husband was in the next room like, hey babe? What the f? Now, to be fair to millennials, they had every right to clap back. We started it after all, but did they have to be so fucking cringe about it? This only fanned the flames of the now infamous millennial versus Gen Z debate. Over the next few years, each generation would continue taking shots at each other. Some millennial creators would make videos with the caption, things that would send Gen Z into a coma, and the thing in question is magazines?
More things millennials grew up with that would send Gen Z into a coma. Magazines. And I can already hear Gen Z, we know what magazines are. Yes, we know, but you don't know.
I did not beg my mom for the latest issue of Tiger Beat every week at the grocery store just to be overlooked in this way. Let's not forget M, J14, highlights. I could keep going. I don't f around when it comes to magazines. You know, some of us in Gen Z are only a couple years younger than you, right? Some of you could be our older siblings. If you're also an older Zoomer, as in someone born between 1997 to 2002, our experiences overlap quite a bit with late millennials. For instance, we also got excited when our teacher rolled the TV into our classroom. We also loved sitting under the rainbow parachute in gym. We even had Tamagotchis too. You get the point. Only 90s kids remember has become the 21st century version of back in my day. No, stop. You're starting to sound like the type of boomers I made fun of at the very beginning of this video. Before I continue though, let's all take a moment of silence for the Tamagotchis we abandoned. Hey, stop chewing. I said quiet. However, Zoomers haven't been innocent victims taking blow after blow from millennials either. We have equally contributed to this mess. Let's not act like most of our For You pages over the past few months haven't been clogged with millennial core videos, which are compilations of older creators, aka creators in their late 20s and early 30s, because as we all know, if you're older than 25 and you exist on the internet, you might as well be dead. I got like 4 months to go. It was nice knowing you. The TikTokers who are featured in millennial core videos are very cartoonish. They're acting like over-the-top caricatures of the stereotypical millennial.
Be small girl with Travis Kelce because he is large boy. And she gets to be small girl. Just felt good doing my own little thing. You decided to do it, and now you want to trip another brother. As a 28-year-old toddler that spills everything.
Do you know what I found? You can't see it. Let me show you what it looks like. Do you know what this is? It's pumpkin spice cream cheese for my crispy bread.
They're using exaggerated facial expressions and purposely infantilizing themselves because they want attention. Millennial or not, influencers thrive on attention. Nobody actually acts like this in real life. This isn't millennial core. This is rage bait. I fall for rage bait too, so I'm not just throwing stones at glass houses. This conversation is also directed at me. And this is why TikToks along the lines of POV millennials doing a get ready with me, POV millennials reacting to a video, POV millennials doing something at a wedding are so popular. It was funny the first time, but after watching the 17th video in a row of someone making fun of the millennial pause, it's gotten old. Which is a convenient segue into the latest discourse, aging. Amidst the Sephora Kits controversy that went viral this winter, millennials and Zoomers alike were asking TikTok how old they look, and if you know anything about TikTok comment sections, you know how ruthless they can be. And if you look older than your age, well, they let you know. It's like when a child is too honest with you and they'll ask why you're so ugly in the most sincere tone. But this trend had a lot of millennials insisting that Gen Z looks a lot older for their age, specifically that we're aging like milk. In other words, poorly.
I'm 23. In my opinion, I look like what a 23-year-old would look like.
I had no real interest in jumping into this, like, Gen Z is aging badly conversation until that brother said he was 23. And he blamed it even a little bit on millennial men not having facial hair, because the 23-year-old with the beard, of course, looks older. Bro, I got 17 years on you. I'm like 40. What happened to Gen Z?
What really ramped up this discourse was a different video by TikToker Chris Batista, who claimed that millennials set the new standard for aging.
I'm going to say this a little bit louder for the Gen Zers in the back that didn't hear me the last time. Millennials look fantastic for our age, and you cannot tell us otherwise. And the reason why you think we don't look great for our age is because we have set the new standard of what it looks like to age. I'm 37 years old, and I'm about to be 38 this year.
Fine, I'll say it. Chris, you have beautiful skin, and I politely demand you drop your skincare routine ASAP. But going back to your video, are you saying that millennials are aging better because it's true, or is it because you're aging better? What does aging better even mean? Does it mean you're still physically active or retaining cognitive function? That doesn't seem to be the case, because throughout this entire discourse, aging better or worse has been purely based on looks. Why is looking younger considered an accomplishment, especially when parts of our physical appearance are A, out of our control, or B, require lots of money to fix or correct? Like, congrats on winning the genetic lottery, I guess? It seems like Chris is using his aging experience to make a blanket statement about millennials. He then gave examples of celebrities from the 80s and 90s who were around his age at the time to prove his point.
Al Bundy is 39 years old. George Costanza, 31 years old. Look at this entire cast of Cheers right now. Look at them. Literally, I'm older than every single one of these people in this photo. I'm a full decade older than Kelsey Grammer. If I rolled up to your house and I was like, oh, I brought my grandpa. He's 35. I'm 37. I'm literally older than him. These two are both supposed to be 45 in Father of the Bride. Like, there's a world in which all three of us went to the same elementary school. And of course, Homer Simpson is exactly the same age as me. So if you see a millennial out here being like, oh my gosh, we look so young for age, it's because the difference between us and you is so much closer to the difference between us and them. And like, we set like a new standard of aging. So, of course, fine, we'll admit, Gen Z, you obviously look younger. You are younger.
And this got everyone talking. Some people joked and said, oh, it's because we used St. Ives face wash growing up, or it was the Flintstone vitamins, but most millennial users were agreeing with him. Meanwhile, Gen Z was pissed. A 20-year-old TikToker in a now-deleted video stitched Chris and proceeded to laugh at him and say he looks 30, which was meant to be a dig at his age, I guess.
Millennials look fantastic.
What kind of denial-filled middle-age crisis ass bullshit is this? What 12-year-old called you ugly? Show me the Disney years. Show them to what twink on Grindr asked you for your AARP card? Come on, let me know. Pour one out, y'all. Pour one out for every millennial going through a crisis. I'm just gonna let you sit with this one, bro. You look 30. By the way, you look 30. Peace and love.
I'm sure her video was intended to be a joke, but it didn't land for me. She accused him of going through a midlife crisis and then said he looks 30. So which is it? Because 30 is about 10 years too early for a midlife crisis. But in her defense, Chris's response was just as, if not more mean-spirited than hers, though her video was no more harsh than some of the comments Chris received from other Gen Z users, so I get why he reacted out of emotion.
I'm tripping out right now, and I'm not trying to be shady. I swear to God, I'm not trying to be shady.
With all due respect, that is exactly what you say when you're about to be shady.
But when that video first started, I thought it was a fellow millennial sympathizing with what I was talking about. But when I looked on this person's profile, homegirl is 20 years old. And this is like one of the first times I actually felt what other millennials were talking about Gen Z looking a little bit older for her age. And homegirl was like loud about her opinions. It was trying to like laugh at my expense. Don't want to be mean to her.
To be fair, Chris had every right to defend himself. But on the other hand, that last part is what you say when you're about to be mean.
Baby girl, baby girl. Oh, Jesus. Like, you're pretty, you're beautiful. I'm not trying to like tear you down or anything, because looking older than your age isn't a bad thing and shouldn't be stigmatized by society. But when you're like laughing at my expense about the way I look, oh God, sorry. Oh God, baby girl. Oh my God.
He really said looking older isn't a bad thing. Except when you do it. Unless you want to watch Chris laugh at her for another 30 seconds, you get the idea. I'm not saying her video was the nicest. Can't handle the heat? Get out of the kitchen. However, like I also just said, Chris was equally petty in his video. This was what I meant earlier when I said this has turned into schoolyard bickering. Throwing playground insults at each other makes both millennials and Gen Z look bad. But really, this whole debate has revolved around superficial qualities, hairstyles, clothing, material possessions, so why should we be surprised it's come down to calling each other old? The fallout from Chris's follow-up TikTok was even worse this time around, and the creator he responded to took down her video and went private for a while. To Chris's credit though, he came out in a video a week later and apologized for his reaction.
I did trip up because when I made that video, I let out like a belly laugh that came from like the pit of my stomach that came across as extremely disrespectful, and it was pretty disrespectful. And so for that, I do apologize because I shouldn't have done that. I did let my emotions, the residual anger that I did feel, bubble up in that moment, and I cackled.
He explained that he wanted to make other millennials feel good after being called old by Zoomers on social media all the time, and he sat in those initial feelings for a couple days so he could cool down. Chris went on to say that the midlife crisis joke got under his skin, but not for the reason you think.
That might seem like just a phrase that doesn't hold any weight to it, but this is kind of a teachable moment right now because it is one of those things that every human being, if you're fortunate enough to live that long, goes through a quote unquote midlife crisis, if you want to call it that. Us millennials are at the age when we look in the mirror, we start to not see the reflection we're used to seeing. Also at the age where some of our friends pass away, because that's life. Our grandparents are virtually all gone and some of our parents are going. And we're faced with not only our own mortality, but this idea that we have to say goodbye to our youth and we will never be young again. That is just a truth. And you can never fully comprehend what that experience is like. You might know intellectually, but you would never know unless you go through it.
Chris's comment about facing your own mortality was really insightful, and I think it has a lot to do with why many Zoomers had such a strong reaction to his initial video. Besides the negative connotations linked to physically aging, being told you look older, whether it's true or not, can be a huge reality check. Like, oh I actually am getting older. Is it that obvious? Zoomers aren't just chronically online teenagers. The oldest in Gen Z will be turning 27 this year. Many of us are approaching or even at the age where they can experience a quarter-life crisis. What is a quarter-life crisis, you may ask? Just like a middle-age crisis, it's a phenomenon of feeling lost in life, but the quarter-life crisis occurs in your early to mid-20s. You graduated, you're getting settled in your full-time job, you moved out of your parents' house, and it's like, now what? This is what I have to look forward to the next 40 years until retirement? And even that's not a guarantee because half the working class in the US don't qualify for a retirement plan. There's also the pressure of feeling like you need to keep up with your peers. You go on Instagram and you see people from high school and college getting engaged, having a baby, moving across the country, and you're like, should I be doing that? Why am I not doing that? Am I going through a midlife crisis? A midlife crisis in front of my salad on this Christian channel? This is actually a great transition into theories as to why Gen Z might be aging like milk. The first one being stress.
Apparently, Gen Z is like aging really rapidly.
It is mainly because of the stress. Come here. We live in a time nowadays where millennials look way younger for their age, while Gen Z looks way older for their age. If you don't believe me, I'm Gen Z. Get closer. I am Gen Z and nobody ever believes me. When my mom and I walk out in public, people think that my mom is my younger sister. Right. When I tell people, oh, I'm going to go hang out with my family, they think I'm talking about my children. I don't have kids.
It's true. Stress can make us age faster. Every generation has gone through bad not just Zoomers. But when it comes to world events, we've witnessed a lot in our short lifetimes. We were too young to remember 9/11. Some of us weren't even alive yet, but we grew up in a post-9/11 world. Our military got involved in wars in the Middle East. A lot of us watched our parents struggle to make ends meet during the financial crisis in 2008. The rise of mass shootings in the 2010s made us scared to go to the movies, concerts, church, the grocery store. Even school felt unsafe. Oh, and we can't forget about the unprecedented times of the past 4 years and counting. not to mention how everything's expensive. Buying a house is a pipe dream for most. The planet is dying. We have 2 clowns running for president. One of them's funding a genocide. And finally, on top of all of this, we have our own personal traumas to deal with. So no wonder why we're fucking stressed. Again, Gen Z didn't invent stress, but we dealt with a lot of anxiety-inducing events during our formative years, and I think that's taken a bigger toll on us than we realize. Even so, I don't believe stress is the answer, or at least the whole answer as to why Zoomers are aging like milk. I've seen a few people say that us aging badly is due to karmic justice for making fun of millennials for years, implying that looking older is a bad thing. It's meant to be an insult. I don't think they were being serious, but by going with that logic, we start treading murky waters when we equate beauty to mortality. Most of us do it subconsciously because of Eurocentric beauty standards and our own unconscious biases. Humans tend to associate positive traits with conventionally attractive people. We've all seen those posts where it's like, this celebrity aged like fine wine. This is what happens when you're unproblematic. As if how you age is evidence of whether or not you're a good person. It all goes back to the root issue. We see youth as an accomplishment. However, the pressure for women and femme-presenting people to look young forever is tenfold. And the further we are from our youth, our worth to ourselves and society goes down. Meanwhile, men are allowed to embrace the silver fox look, and I'm not saying guys like Steve Carell and Oscar Isaac shouldn't rock their gray beards. I just wish older women were offered the same grace. Some other reasons people cited for Gen Z looking older include processed foods and vaping. I'm not a dietitian, so I can't speak on the first part too much, but according to Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare, research shows that eating ultra-processed foods can speed up the aging of your cells. Much of this is due to ultra-processed foods often containing a high amount of hydrogenated oils, which are full of trans fats and can promote the chronic inflammation that hastens the breakdown or aging of your cells. So that could possibly be a potential factor. Now, vaping. Again, not a doctor, but I don't need to be a health expert to know that inhaling a bunch of nicotine is bad for you. Turns out there might be some truth to this theory too. Not only does vaping pose serious health issues such as damage to your heart and lungs, it can cause other physical changes that are very undesirable, said Ali S. Raja, MD, Executive Vice Chairman of the Department of Emergency Medicine at Massachusetts General Hospital and an Associate Professor at Harvard Medical School. Okay, girl boss. Oh, he's a guy. Okay, boy boss. The nicotine in vaping liquids dehydrates your skin, Dr. Raja said, so you can get premature wrinkles and very dry skin. In addition to skin aging too, vaping can also delay wound healing. Nicotine use also is linked to chronic skin conditions like acne and psoriasis, and skin cancers such as squamous cell, that's a big word for Elmo, squamous cell carcinoma and melanoma, as well as oral cancer. Bottom line, don't vape. This is your sign. Do you really want to know why Gen Z is aging so badly? It's because we're not. We look at celebrities and influencers on social media so much that we've forgotten what real people look like. Not to blame those damn phones like every boomer ever, but it's kind of true. Our algorithms feed us highly curated photos and videos of Instagram models day in and day out. People who filter themselves and get plastic surgery to look a certain way that is unattainable for 99% of the population. We see the Kardashian-Jenner clan who all look the same age in certain photos, and that warps our perception of aging. This has made us so afraid of looking older that people in their 20s and 30s are getting baby Botox as preventative care. Doctors will administer smaller amounts of Botox to create a softer, subtler look, which is why Instagram face is such a huge thing now. In reality, there are many factors that contribute to how old we look. Features we can change, like our hairstyle, clothing, accessories, and makeup, can make us look a certain age. Ultimately, it's up to our genetics and our environment. And because we're all in different circumstances, we're not going to age at the same rate. This will make some Zoomers look older and other Zoomers look younger. Aging is not a one-size-fits-all process. Regardless, we need to remember that aging is a privilege I hope we all get to experience. Don't let social media tell you that you're aging wrong or too quick, because you're not. You're doing fine, I promise. We probably think about ourselves too much, but that's a different discussion for a different day. And as the de facto representative of Gen Z, I'm officially extending an olive branch to millennials because I'm sick of watching us embarrass ourselves. So let's not do that anymore. And on that, I'm going to end the video. I'm really eager to see what you guys have to say about this whole debate that's been going on for years, way too long at this point, so let me know down below. And in general, if there's anything in particular you'd like me to talk about, I have a Google form linked in the description where you could submit your video ideas. But if you enjoyed today's video, make sure you give it a tiny thumbs up and subscribe down below. And make sure you check out Aura, who is kindly sponsoring today's video. Thank you, Aura, and thank you. I love you guys, and I'll see you next time with a new video. Bye!